Okay, welcome back. We're on to day 4. If you're here again, thank you. It's a really nice day when I film this, wherever you are. If you're doing it, I hope it's a nice day. If it's not, that's going to be still a good day to try and get this in. Our 4 stretches, so we've 3 and a bonus movement. The first one is going to be a really, really nice hip stretch, one of my favorite ones to do. You'll notice, or you may have noticed or not, that when we're stretching, all our stretches are movement based. So I'm going to go through this, but the stretches are dynamic. Maybe when we were younger, even if you were warming up or after some kind of a session, if we were playing GAA or soccer, it was all static based stretches where it's just a hold. You're much better served doing things movement based. If you remember from yesterday, the cat camel, again, everything that we've gone through, anything to do with shoulders, the swimmers where you're lying on your back, it's all movement based, and that's going to be really good. It's not the only thing. Ideally, you would be doing some kind of strength training as well. And then obviously just cardio for health, but just you moving well versus being sedentary and not doing anything. This is great. I think what's good about something like this is the time. There's no big time sink to it where it has to be an hour. So you could just put 15 minutes on the clock and just try and go through this. Again, our first stretch is a hip stretch. I absolutely love this. It's called a 3-point hip opener. So you're going to work on your hips and you'll feel a profound stretch on your groin. The 3 points, I start on my knees on my mat, and what I'm looking to do, so point number 1 is put my foot out to the side and then lean into the stretch. I'll move my foot 45 degrees in front, and then I'll move my foot out in front and I lean into it. So that's a single rep. So the 3-point hip opener, there's 3 points, point 1, point 2, and point 3. As I said with one of the stretches we did before, sometimes it can take a little bit of figuring out where your foot position needs to be to get into the stretch. You're always trying to not like lean back or anything like that. And you'll just work through the movement and you'll feel a nice stretch on the inside of your hips and groin as you go through them. Nice inverted commas. Okay, so if I had X amount of reps, again, as always, you would work through this. I don't really mind what I do with the rep is when I come to the front, I skip back to the start and start into my second rep. Sometimes I'll see people do it and they go through it here and then work their way back. There's no problem adding a little bit if that's the way you want to do it, almost like a windshield wiper to go out and then come back. Again, then I would swap to the other side. The 3 points are out to the side, about 45 degrees in front, and then straight in front. So you're getting 3 kind of nice angles at the hip, and you'll work through it. You can see it's nice and dynamic as well. I can really feel it. And it's really, really nice. So that is our first stretch, the 3-point hip opener. You'll do X amount of reps on one side, X amount of reps on the other. On to stretch number 2, and this is going to be a stretch for our spine. You're on your mat, the start position is in a kneeling position. I'm going to give you 2 variations. These are called kneeling 180s and prisoner 180s. And I guess the 180 thing is the big part of it in terms of you'll see what I'm trying to do is look 180 degrees behind. Okay, so if this is my start position, 180 degrees behind me, that's what I'm trying to aim for. The first variation, 2 hands in front, palms together. What I like to try and do is the side where my knee is down, that's the side that I will turn. So that's where I'll do the rep. So single rep, I'm trying to look at my hand and look behind 180 degrees. When I'm doing it, there's this motion here. And again, that's 1, not too fast, not too slow. The big thing is you're trying to look at your hand as you look behind as well. That's really, really important. Sometimes if people get distracted, or if you're talking to someone, or if you're just not focused on the movement, it's actually quite easy to just bring your hand behind you and not open up fully. So if you're going through them, if you're talking to someone, feel free to do it. But again, there's always intent with a movement, and that's the intent there that you're trying to look behind. A nice bit of movement here. It's not the end of the world. Again, if I see someone doing it from the other side where it's the knee in front that you're trying to turn over, it's not wrong or anything like that. I feel like this can just be a little bit more free. You don't have to try and go beyond that 180, reach too far. So keep that in mind. To match it up on the other side, the other reps, I'm going to shuffle out a little bit here. Always when you're doing stuff, just be aware of what's around you. Or if there's people, try not to slap anyone in the face. And then I would match things up. And again, I'm trying to follow my hand with my eyes. Don't go too quickly either. Sometimes these stretches where you're turning, if you do them really quickly, you can get a little bit dizzy. So do keep that in mind. The other variation, the prisoner 180, basically I feel, you know, someone could do this and they might be a little bit stuck and they get to here. If you can turn 180 with the first one, with your hands, maybe you could try the prisoner one next, which is hands behind the head, and it just feels a little bit trickier. So what you're trying to do, hands behind your head, keep the shoulders back. And again, you're trying to turn. You're not going to necessarily be able to look behind you, but even to get your elbow pointed behind you in that 180 position. I really like this. The one with two palms together is almost easy for me. And then with this one, it really challenges me there to try and turn and point my elbow behind. It would be the same deal. The side where the knee is on the ground, that's where it's not wrong to go this way. It's like you just can't get as far. So I prefer this. And then again, to match up the reps, you would set up kneeling position, hands behind your head. I like to draw my shoulder blades back almost when I do that, squeeze them together. And then the 180, you're trying to look forward so your chest points forward. And with this one, get your elbow to point behind. I am trying to look as well. Not too fast, not too slow. Movement number 2 are 180 variations. We have the kneeling 180 and the prisoner 180. Movement 3 is a pretty simple one. We're going to work on our shoulders. I have some 2.5 kg plates. It would be great if you had some. You could also use 1.25 kg plates, so anything smaller. You could use dumbbells, anything lighter. I think 5 kilos is pretty tricky. I use the 2.5s. If you don't have anything that light, if you could just hold 2 light enough objects in hands, that would be great. As opposed to anything heavy. They don't really work if they're heavy because it's meant to be kind of higher rep and a warm up. And anything that's heavy can be really, really tough on your shoulders. That's really, really important. This must be light. The plate around the world, the standing position, my palms face outward, down at my pockets is where I think of it. And the world is your head, and you're going to go and lift the plates up around the world. They don't have to touch or anything like that and bring them down. And then that's a single rep. So I will link through them. Again, there is an element of control, not too quickly, not too slowly, all the way up overhead. My elbows are pretty soft. You don't have to keep them locked out or anything like that. In fact, I wouldn't do that. And then you'll work through. If I give you 15 reps, you'll do 15. It's generally, you want the weight to be light and the reps are higher. It could be 20 reps. And as soon as you get into double figures, you really start to feel it on your shoulders and the backs of your shoulders and your shoulder blades. If you don't have any weight or anything that's too heavy, where you're lifting and straight away it's like, oh, my shoulder actually feels sore doing it. It needs to be light. I'm not against it all if you've no weight, just to use your hands up overhead. So it would be that start position, hands up overhead. And as you work through them, if I give you 15 reps and you do 15, you're like, this is easy, I don't really feel it. You could go to 30. And it's all about movement is the big thing. The whole idea of the 7 days is movement versus sedentary. So just sitting there. It could be behind the desk or driving or just kind of being stuck in fixed or bad positions. I think that's really important. While the reps and the technique and everything has to be ideal and done well, it doesn't have to be perfect. So don't think that if I don't have plates, I can't do it. You can just do it with your hands. So that's stretch number 3. It's pretty simple, play it around the world. And then we have one more left. Okay, movement number 4, you're almost done, but at the same time you're not, because this is a little bit tricky. It's one of the most given out about movements that I give people when I'm training them, definitely in the top 5. It is a core movement. It's called a side plank hip lift. What I'm gonna go through is I'll go through the full movement and you'll see it's pretty tricky if you go to try it, but I'll show you ways to scale it a little bit if it's something that you can't manage. And even if you are meant to do X amount of reps, like 10 reps on each side, and you can't do that, if you can get 3 or 4 or 5, that's a way to approach everything where you can always just try and build up then. We're doing movement here in terms of we're stretching and our spine and our hips and our shoulders, things like that. This is directly core and you'll see it's to the side. So think we don't always just do planks or sit-ups or hollows, that we're trying to work our core to the side as well, and you'll definitely feel it. And then when we're lifting and things like that, our lower back gets worked. So that corset of core gets targeted. It's a small part, I guess, of overall well-being again in terms of strength and training and that, but it's a really, really important one as well. So it kind of introduces you to that it's not just stretching, that you need to be trying to do other good things as well. The setup position is going to be stacked on your side in a straight line, ideally one foot on top of the other. And what's really important is that your elbow is always underneath your shoulder, and then that it's not away, because it's obviously going to make it really difficult to do, but it can be sore on your shoulder as well. It's one of these things that is exactly as it says on the tins. It's exactly as it says on the tin, that it is a side plank hip lift. And what you're going to do is set up in a side plank position and lift your hip high off the ground. And then to restart, you touch the ground, and that's a rep. And then you'll work through them. Again, you're trying to go through the motion, but not too fast and not too slow. I always like to put my free hand here so I can actually feel the side of my core working as I go through it. And you're trying to lift up and down. Like I said, this can be pretty tricky if you haven't done them before. I'm really used to doing them. The first little thing you can do, if your foot feels uncomfortable stacked on top of each other, you can put the top one slightly out in front, and you can work through that. Can make it a tiny bit easier. But then if you're still doing this and it feels really, really difficult, what I like to get people to do is put their hand on the ground, and then that just gives them assistance where you can push off and work through it. And that's your side plank hip lift. You would do X amount of reps on one side. And then if I spin around, do a little bit of break dancing, I stack myself up. I'm going to go pretty much in a straight line. My elbow is underneath my shoulder. I like to put my free hand here. And again, I lift my hips up nice and high. I would try and make contact again each time that you're not floating, and try and work through the reps as well. One of the most complained about movements because they are really, really tricky. You can try and get through the amount of reps that I give you. You can regress it with your hand, or even if you can do the full reps and it's only 4 or 5 on each side, that's absolutely perfect. The thing will be to kind of do things like that and things similar over time to make progress and build up, and then you can do more. Guys, thank you so much. We are finished. That's day number 4. Our side plank hip lift is our bonus movement.